I'm Joshua Bardwell, and I'm a terrible YouTuber because I just finished recording an entire video about this gimbal. This is the Hall Effect Gimbal for the Taranis. We're going to be looking at this today. I recorded a whole video about this without once remembering to thank GetFPV for sending me this gimbal. Thank you, GetFPV. GetFPV provided these gimbals to me. Very nice of them to do that. And if you are in the U.S. and you want to order these gimbals from a U.S. supplier, GetFPV is where I would suggest you go. And not just because they sent me the gimbals for free, but because they're a good vendor who supports their customers with a lot of good products. Okay, off to the video. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. Today, you're going to learn about the M9 Hall Effect Gimbal for the FrSky Taranis. This is the hottest thing on the market right now. I know it's hot because you can't get them. No one can get them. We'll talk more about that at the end of the video. Let's take a look at this gimbal. I'll talk about this gimbal specifically, and we'll just look at some of the, what's a gimbal when it's at home? What's on the inside of a gimbal, and how's it work, and all that good stuff. At first glance, this gimbal does have some aesthetic differences compared to the stock gimbal. I've got PT10 gimbals on my Taranis. I believe these are the standard gimbals that come with the Taranis Plus, and heck, these days maybe they even come standard with the regular Taranis. I don't know about that. You can see it's got a silver bezel around the outside, so all your friends can know you're rocking the awesome M9 gimbals. And it's got a flat, this sort of section here, the carrier, if you will, is flat, whereas on the PT10 it is rounded. And I've been told that the stick is actually a little shorter on the, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's any shorter. We'll have to see about that. I don't know about that. The base here is metal. It's not plastic. I couldn't tell you whether it was steel or aluminum, but it is metal, so that's good. And if we go to the underside, we can take a closer look at how this gimbal, and really all gimbals in some sense, are constructed and how they work. So here we've got the sensor. In this case, as you probably know, it's a Hall sensor that detects the stick position. And these are, of course, the wires that power the sensor and provide the output to the transmitter. And there's two sensors, one for each axis, up, down, and left, right. And as I move the stick, you can see there's a mechanism here where there's one carrier here and then another one inside it for the left, right axis and the up, down axis. Here on the sides, we can see the ball bearings. This is a 4-ball bearing gimbal. Not all gimbals, cheaper gimbals, will not have ball bearings here. They'll just have, a pin riding in a slot. And we got one here, and then on the other side, one right here. So 1, 2, and then 3, 4 for the other axis right there. The quality of these bearings helps with the smoothness of the gimbal motion. And the nice thing is that this is not a very stressful job for a bearing, so there's a very good chance that these bearings will remain in good condition pretty much for the life of the gimbal, I would think. They're not spinning very fast, for example. One of the coolest things a gimbal does is how it centers itself, how it recenters itself. So you can see here we've got the crossbar. This thing here is called the crossbar. And by the way, you can see this is a metal crossbar. Some gimbals will have a plastic crossbar. And that's not as good because a plastic crossbar is going to have some flex and it's going to have some wear. It's going to result in sloppy recentering, imprecise recentering, and it's going to wear out over time. So for those of you who are wondering if this has a metal or a plastic crossbar, you can see it's a metal crossbar. Although it does have a plastic cover here. I don't know what exactly to call that. So this part here is plastic, and I've checked it out. It's a very hard plastic. I can only imagine maybe this is here just to get a little bit smoother sliding action. I'm not really sure about that, why that is there. But if you watch what happens when I move the gimbal, you can see that there are these pins right here and right here, and they're pressing on the crossbar, and the crossbar is spring-loaded. So as I move the gimbal, the crossbar goes up, and as I release the gimbal, the crossbar recenters. And likewise the other direction. Notice that these pins are placed in such a way because we've got a lever here, and the distance between the fulcrum, which is over here, and the actual point where it's pressing on the lever is going to change how much it moves. So we've got these pins placed at different locations so as to cause the crossbar to extend the exact same amount, whether I'm moving the stick to the one side or the other side. So they've basically done the trigonometry, they've done the triangle math to ensure that the crossbar moves the same amount. See, one side, other side. You see it moves the same amount, and that's going to give equal recentering force whether you're moving the stick left or right, and that's pretty cool. Now you see we've got this spring here, and as you might guess, you can adjust the spring tension to cause stiffer recentering or looser recentering. And what that's going to do, if you make that stiffer, the stick will have more force trying to return it to center, but it will also take more force to move it off of center. So you might appreciate that extra force as you come off center, because it's going to help little muscle motions not make the stick twitch, right? It's going to be a very stiff stick, but at the same time, when you get to center, the stick is going to kind of sit in the center and not want to come back. So what I find is that if the stick is really stiff and the spring tension is really high, I feel really good when I'm moving like this, because I don't have to be really delicate with my fingers. But if I'm doing a move where I'm going from left to right, there can be a little bit of a hitch in the center as it sits in the center and recenters very firmly, and it's not as smooth as I transition from left to right. This is mostly on the yaw axis for me. Usually I'm not going smoothly from left to right on the roll or the pitch axis, or forward to back. Usually I'm going forward, stop, back, stop. But on the yaw axis, it's pretty common to, for example, I'll do a roll and I'll be moving one way to cross-coordinate the roll. And as I finish the roll, I'll go into a turn the other way and I'll be regular coordinating. So it's very common on the yaw axis for me to go smoothly left to right like that, less so on the other axes. In theory, perhaps, you might want to have less spring tension on the yaw axis and more spring tension on the other axes. I don't know. On the other hand, it might be better. It might be a little distracting to have the sticks feeling different from each other. You can play with it though. It's up to you. The other thing we've got, and this is only here on the vertical axis, the up-down axis, is the ratchet, which is right here. And the ratchet is, if you want a ratcheting throttle, is this little bar right here. So if we zoom in, you can see that there's a notched piece right here. And if I tighten down this screw, this metal piece right here will engage with the notched piece and create the ratcheting action. And the tighter I make that screw, the stronger the ratcheting action is going to be. We've also got this bar here, which is a smooth bar, and I can tighten that screw down to create some tension, but not actually engage the ratcheting teeth. So that's your choice. As long as we're talking about the throttle, the other thing to mention is that, we'll go back to the crossbar here. The other thing to mention is that if you want your throttle not centering, you see the gimbals come auto-centering on both axes. So you're going to need, if you don't want your throttle centering, which you probably don't, you're going to need to just release or take the tension off the crossbar screw. And if you just pull this all the way out, it loosens up the crossbar to the point where it's no longer auto-centering. And that's how you do that. Joshua from the future here. No, that is not how you make your throttle non-centering. I mistakenly thought that this gimbal was identical to the PT-10 gimbals, which I already installed. It is not the same. It is different. The way you make your throttle non-centering on this gimbal is you lift the crossbar with your finger, and it comes with a little screw that you can see me inserting right now that screws through a hole in the crossbar, and that engages or rests on a little part of the gimbal housing. It lifts the crossbar up, keeps it out of the way, and prevents it from touching the pins on the stick carrier that basically removes the recentering action. Then you'll need to tighten down one of those two metal bars, either the ratcheting one or the smooth one. I recommend the smooth one if you fly mini quads, because we don't want a ratcheting throttle for mini quads. That is how you do it, not the way that I told you in the original video. The next thing that you want me to talk about is how great this gimbal is, and how smooth and how awesome it feels. And I will say, if I put it next to my Taranis and just move them together, let's see. So this one feels like it comes with a little stiffer tension, although maybe my springs are just starting to wear out. I got to tell you though, I'm a heathen when it comes to gimbals. I've tried all the gimbals, and Horus gimbals and Aurora gimbals, and everybody's like, oh, this one's so bad and this one's so good. And I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, it just feels like a gimbal to me. But as far as the sort of aesthetic, oh, it feels so smooth. Well, it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel grindy. I think the real test of this gimbal is going to be after I've had it for 6 months or a year, whether it continues to feel good thanks to the Hall effect sensor and yada, yada, yada. It doesn't feel bad, but I'm not the guy to go to if you want somebody to gush over, oh, it feels so smooth. Oh, it feels so good. It feels pretty good. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it is after it's been in my transmitter for a while. There's one more thing I need to tell you about this gimbal, and it's really bad news if you want to buy one. It's really bad news if you pre-ordered one. They're so back-ordered right now that FrSky can't even fill orders to their retailers right now. A retailer who spoke to me off the record said that FrSky told them they've got 500 on order, and FrSky is only going to be sending them a fraction of that order. They can't even fill it to their retailers, never mind their customers. People who ordered direct from FrSky have told me they got an email from FrSky saying that if you want to go to the front of the line, you also need to buy a package. So you get the gimbal, but then you also have to buy a video transmitter and a flight controller. You know, you pick from one of these. In other words, give us more money if you want to go to the front of the line. Okay, FrSky, nice move, nice PR move, FrSky. Good for you. So if you want one of these gimbals and you're not one of the lucky ones to somehow already have one in hand, it's probably, I think, going to be like 2 months before these really start hitting the market. FrSky really underestimated the demand for these and cannot fill orders to customers or retailers. People are asking me, where can I get these? Everyone, literally everyone, is back ordered on them, and they can't get them. So I'm sorry to tell you that, but there you go. The next thing that you want is you want to see me install it in my Taranis. I have a detailed instruction video on installing the PT10 gimbals in my Taranis, and it is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. So I'm not going to make the same video twice, but if you want to watch me install it, you can. If you want detailed instructions on how to install it, I will link you in the upper right bing to my video on installing the PT10 gimbals in the Taranis. Thanks for watching. Happy flying.